Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we're doing my off-season primer preview for the Los Angeles Clippers. And yes, this is going to be a very pivotal year. Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Paul George. It seemingly might be unknown what's going to happen there. But before we start today's video, I want to hear, what do you guys think should happen this offseason? What are you guys prioritizing? Let me know down below in the comment section why, and in your opinion, what are the most important things you think need to be addressed? So let's get right into this. Shout out to both Bobby Marks and my coworker Michael Scotto at Hoops Hype for some of this information. Now, what is the biggest things? First off, Ty Lue's staying, ladies and gentlemen. It's freaking insane to think that the Lakers are going to take him. I think he stays. This team went 51-31. They have a second-round pick, which their second-round pick, they do a good job of drafting guys. They won Jordan Miller last year. I think they might go a guard or a big man this year. I don't know. Ugana Onyenso would be my target in the second round. Point guard, it's hard to say. Isaiah Crawford really could be a swingman that they would like. But Paul George has a player option. He's expected to decline. James Harden is a free agent, so is Mason Plumlee, unrestricted. PJ Tucker picked up his player option, so he's staying. Daniel Tice is unrestricted. Russell Westbrook is expected to decline his. Musa Diabate, Brandon Boston, and Xavier Moon are all restricted free agents. So if we look at this team, what is the biggest thing that needs to be talked about? There are three things that need to be addressed. The futures of George and Harden are one of those. I think when you look there, that's the big question. What's the future there? How much are they going to walk? How much are they going to cost? Can they replace them? And the other thing is, what is the direction of this team? And realistically, how much longer does their window last? Paul George and James Harden are 34. And Kawhi Leonard isn't far behind. All right? This is not a young team. This team's old now. Kawhi's 32. Kawhi's 3-year, $150 extension is on the books already. Paul George played the most games since 2018-2019, shot a career-high 41% from three. He and Leonard were the only players to average 20 points and 1.5 steals and shoot 40% on three this season. George is 34 years old, and like Leonard, has not been durable. He's played 87 regular season games in 21 to 22, seasons. So, and he can get a 4-year, $221 million extension. And there's only a $9 million difference between what the Clippers can offer him and what any other team can. So playoff teams like the Orlando Magic, OKC Thunder, and Sixers might be able to give him a max, even though those teams will have to extend their young dudes. While the Sixers, on the other hand, outright can sign George. And then you got a bunch of other teams like Detroit, San Antonio, and Utah. And then James Harden, he turns 35 in August, and he played a big role. And this was a team that Harden averaged 17.5 points, 8.5 assists, and 2.5 turnovers in 48 games prior to the All-Star break. And they, in those games before the All-Star break, had the second best record. The turnovers were the fewest since when he was in Oklahoma City. In the last 16 games of the season, though, Harden averaged 12.7 points and shot 36% from the field. He averaged 26 points, 7 assists in the first 4 games. And considering that a return to Philadelphia and OKC won't happen, I think Harden's options are limited on where he goes, because he doesn't. I could see Harden going to Miami in a weird way. And I personally think, look, I think Harden leaves. I think they can't afford to let Paul George go. I think they sign and trade Harden to a team like Miami. And maybe they take on, for example, maybe you sign and trade James Harden. And I don't even know how that deal would work there. But someone tell me down below. I kind of see that being a realistic line. So what does this team need to address? They need a power forward and a center at like depth. This team would have really benefited getting like a PJ Washington, and then a genuine sniper, like a laser. We're talking a guy who can go out there and be the kind of a consistent. I mean, they have Norman Powell, but like they need a guy who can just catch and shoot threes, like a Buddy Hield maybe would be a really, really good option for them. So when we look at this team, Paul George's free agency is going to be the biggest thing. And when I look at this, I think you just got to get rid of, if you can keep Paul George, who we know that the Sixers want the Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, Paul George trio, while Orlando wants to have Paul George be like that veteran presence that they've lacked. Wow. I think he's going to stay. I think James Harden, though, that he wants to stay. And the only question is just like, I can't see him doing. So supposedly, Lawrence Frank's future as the top executive might be something to watch. PJ Tucker picked up his option, and after finishing in 7th place for 6th Man of the Year, Russell Westbrook's probably going to leave as he struggled mightily in the first round, and Bones Highland's entering the final season of his rookie deal. I think they're going to try to re-sign Bones on a cheap extension and have him be Russell Westbrook's replacement. So when you look at the rest of the team, depth at power forward. All right, how do we go about the power forward position? I think that's something that gets really, really hard to solve, because when we look at the free agents, again, this is going to be a team that has to improve via free agency. They're not going to have the luxury. I mean, they can get a guy from the draft, but if you look at the guys, I think Obi Toppin, Kevin Love, Taurean Prince, Jeff Green, Nick Batum. Ironically, some of these guys have been on the roster already. Jay Crowder and Danilo Gallinari, Davis Bertans are guys that they can bring on very cheap deals to be like stop gap. They're not long-term solutions. And I don't think there's any long-term solution that they can get cheap unless it's through the draft that they feel confident. But bringing in a Dario Saric or a Precious Achiuwa, a Stick Smith, Jalen Smith, or Goga Bitadei are guys that I think, again, can help them improve on the margins. But because they're the George and James Harden trade left the Clippers thin with tradable first-round picks, they can trade their 2030 or 31st first-round pick, 2030 and 2031 first-round pick, but not both. They could also trade swap rights on those picks. The Thunder have the rights to swap first in 25 and 27. They also have the unprotected Clippers first in 26. LA will send unprotected 28 to first to Philadelphia. The Sixers also have the right to swap first in 29, top 3 protected. The Clippers also have 2 second-round picks available. I think they're going to use one, but when you look at the rest of this, I think the Clippers, their current salaries have them in the second apron from now until June 30th. LA is not allowed to send out cash in a trade, take back money, more money than it receives in a trade, or aggregate contracts to send out. Paul George's $48.8 million player option for the next season will determine if the Clippers remain above the $189.6 million second apron. If George signs for a comparable starting salary and Harden returns, the Clippers will likely exceed $200 million in payroll. LA is also a repeater tax team and will once again pay significant luxury tax penalty. In the scenario where George and Harden do not return, the Clippers would have the $12.9 million non-taxpayer mid-level exception and the $4.7 biannual exception. George and Mr. Westbrook, and Tucker already picked it up, but Westbrook, I think all 3 guys are declining it. Makes no sense. So, despite the finances, the Clippers are allowed to use their second-round exception to sign the draft choices to a contract for 3 or 4 seasons. So, again, guys, I think the second round is going to be a crucial part with the new tax apron stuff. And don't be surprised if they go hunting for a guy in that range. Is it going to be enough? That's up for you to decide. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. What do you guys expect the Clippers to do? That's basically going to be it for me. If you made it to the end of the video, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It will be greatly appreciated as We're over here. We're trying to build something. You know, we're trying to do it right over here, and we love to have you guys be a part of it. So, till next time, guys. But peace.